Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. All right, I'm going to do a little quiet morning coffee talk with you. So, we know psychologically that it's a proven fact that isolation, it's good for a little bit, but it's not healthy overall. If you were just to go on an island for yourself, you may think, man, I'd like to get away from all these people, all this stress, all this world, all this. You do need that in our world of coming and going and so busy and so crazy. You definitely need those times. But then there's times in life when you need a friend. And I'm going to read some verses here, some things about having a friend and the importance of that. So, without any further ado, let me go ahead and dive right into this. How good and how pleasant is it when God's people live together in unity? You got to contrast that with how horrible and how terrible it is when you're in a house where everybody's fighting, right? But how good and how pleasant it is when God's people live in unity. Now here's a really wise one. You ready? 2 are better than 1 because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, someone can help him up. But pity anyone who falls and there's no one to help him. Also, if 2 lie down together, they're going to keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? Though one may be overpowered, 2 can defend themselves. A cord in 3 strands is not quickly broken. A cord of 3 strands. So all this is pretty much common sense, right? You think, I'm going to go out and conquer the world alone. We live in the world of the me, I, my generation, where it's going to be me, I, my. Well, look, Tom Brady took the moose with him, or I forget his name. You got to help me out there. Tom Brady took, I cannot remember the name of the linebacker, but it's his friend. He's got a friend on the team now. He's already got someone he's got a huge connection with, and it wasn't Tom Brady that won the whole Super Bowl. Of course, he did, but he's got a friend, and it takes a team. But right here it says 2 are better than 1 because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help them up. So basically, don't go through life alone. Stay connected. Make friends. Have friends. Now, I know you're going to say, man, it's hard to make friends, which it is, because in this world of me, I, my, there are many people who are out there just for their own selfish interests, and that's where you got to do your part, and you can't be out there for selfish interests. But this right here states the reciprocal nature of friendship. 2 are better than 1 because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. But pity anyone who falls and there's no one to help him. There's a reason, you go out, Jesus sent them out by 2s. And in the military, you go out by 2. You got to have your battle buddy most of the time, basically when you're just learning and just coming up, But how important that is to have a friend, right? So the thing is, you may think, oh, this person ain't perfect. This person ain't great. That person ain't great. Then you'll basically eliminate yourself from everyone on earth. Now, we do know the contrast holds true also, though. If there's somebody there who can pull you up, there's also someone there who can pull you down. Bad friends and bad influences will rip you down faster than anything. So what you want to do, they call it people, places, and things. Get yourself with good people that'll build you up, people that'll strengthen you, and you be that one to build someone up and strengthen them, right? Because 2 are better than 1 because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help them up, but pity anyone who falls alone and has no one to help them up. Also, if 2 lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? It's a great thing about marriage. You have your wife there, or your husband there if you're a woman, and you can keep warm. You can have that comfort, that warmth, it's a cold, lonely life when you're single, but there's people who enjoy that, right? Though 1 person can get overpowered, 2 can defend themselves, and a 3-cord strand is not quickly broken. So You know, you may be sitting there in your living room like me. I'm not all alone. I mean, I have my family here in this house, but you know, reach out, make some friends, make some good friends, right? We know during COVID there was a lot of isolation, a lot of introspection. All right, now here we go to the next one. It's going to be Ecclesiastes, or as I was. It's going to be Proverbs 27, verse 6, number 17, or 6 and 17. Wounds from a friend can be trusted, but an enemy multiplies kisses. There's someone you trust, and they might wound you. Hey, don't do that. They're going to correct you, and it's good. It's healing for your soul. Hey, man, you've been smoking too many cigarettes this week. Chill off on them smokes. If they were not your friend, they'd be like, yeah, have another. They're thinking, oh, man, they just kiss up to you, right? Now, I know another translation says, wounds of a friend are faithful, but the kisses of an enemy are deceitful. You know, and watch out when people placate you, when they patronize you. Oh, you're the best. You're awesome. You're wonderful. Look out. Look out. As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. So, see, you get that friction, you get that sharpening, you get that betterment out of groups, out of having friends. All right. One who has unreliable friends soon comes to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. You ever had that? Like, hey man, I'm moving today. Like one person shows up. You got 900 friends on Facebook. Who is there when you move? When you got to pack everything and move to another place, or your car's broke down. So you got some friends, and then you got some real friends, right? And to have a friend, you got to be friendly. So it's a two-way street. One who has unreliable friends soon comes to ruin. But there's a friend who sticks closer than a brother. All right. How to be a true friend. A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. So to be a friend, it's not always looking for the reciprocal. Like, hey man, I know if I help them with this, they're going to help me with that. Yeah, that's how it works. But true friends don't even look for something in return. Man, hey, I got, here, let me give to you. I don't need it back. You know, when you got that friend, that brother you really care about, it's like, no, I have it. You're happy. Like with your kids, you're like, take it. Well, I want to pay you back, Dad. Here's some money. I went through the drive-thru with my son the other day. I wanted to take him to get breakfast before I took him to school. And he's like, here, Dad, I got some money. I'm like, I don't need it. I have enough to buy this for you. And I want to give you even more. I want to give you an awesome breakfast before I drop you off at school, right? You know, when real love is there, you give without expecting in return. All right. Rejoice with those who rejoice and mourn with those who mourn. Now, he who sings songs to a heavy heart is like someone pouring vinegar on a wound or smoke in the eyes or a thorn in your side. If someone's sad, that don't mean you got to be all laughing and happy. It's not going to help them. You got to mourn when they're sad and be happy when they're happy. Try to, get on the same wavelength with them there a little bit. It's only, I don't want to call anybody an idiot, but it's super foolish when someone, hey, your best friend just died. Oh, tell a joke about death. Someone just lost their wife and kids through a divorce. Like, hey, that's great, awesome, fun time. Let's go get wasted. They probably don't feel like that. They got to have that little bit of day of mourning or whatever. All right, therefore encourage one another and build one another up, just as, in fact, you are doing. Next verse, let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds, not giving up, meeting together, as some are in the habit of doing, but encourage one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching. Now, meeting together, church is, I'm going to be honest, church is tough. Because in today's world, you got the organized religion where it's not always, you'll find some good friends there and some great people. But sometimes it feels like you're just going through a corporate meeting. Sitting there, you don't talk to anybody, you go in, you hear the message, you get encouraged, you sing the song and you leave. And that's predominantly, I think most people like that. They don't want everybody in their business and everybody else in their business. And that's, in a way how church should be, but you shouldn't completely abandon church or abandon meeting with other Christians. And it's like all the churches I've gone to, I've been to a lot, and there's been some where, I don't know, half the people love you and half the people hate you. And that's just human nature. Even if you're doing what's right and you're there to just bless everybody and have a great day, it's just, Christ said it like this. It's like in the world, you got a field and you're planting good seeds. But in the middle of the night, the enemy comes along and he's throwing his weeds in the garden. And the farmers get up to look and they got these weeds. And they're like, hey, didn't you plant good seed in your garden? And he's like, yeah. They're like, well, look at these tares have grown up with the wheat. And tares, they look just like wheat, but if the cows eat them or people eat them, it's poison, it's bad. So they look just like them. And he said, yeah, while we were sleeping, the guy, the enemy that did this, he planted these tares in my garden. So at that point, the workers are like, all right, you want us to rip up these tares and get them out of your garden? He's like, no, because if you rip them up right now, you could damage some of the good wheat. Just at the end, just harvest it all together, throw the tares to be burned, and gather the wheat in my barn. That's like a powerful analogy. So when you go to church and you're like, man, this person, I saw him committing adultery last night and smoking and this and that and drinking and snorting and popping and arguing and hating. Well, first of all, you don't know their whole story, so don't judge them too deeply. Well, then they backstab me, and then they're here just to lead women into sin, or they're just here for the money. They're just trying to get rich. Look at that guy. He is asking on television if we don't send him $100,000, God's going to take his life. That's a lie. Yeah. You're going to see a lot of tares with the wheat. You're going to have the great people who are there to do what's right. And you're going to have that in your whole life. You're going to have the good people and the bad people. But it's not up to us always to just tear them out. Because, it's not always up to us. Okay? All right, let's get going through the rest of this. So let us consider how we can spur each other to good works. Confess your sins to one another and pray for each other so that you can be healed. The prayer of the righteous person is powerful and effective. Now, if you're always alone, you're not getting someone to pray for you, and you're not praying for anybody. You need that. Carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ. All right, so Christ said love each other. So it's like, oh, how do I be a Christian? Wow, I build a church, I paint a steeple white, I put a cross on it, I repeat some words. No, you help somebody. If a woman gets kicked out because someone's being abusive and you open your garage to her and you let her store her stuff there without wanting anything in return, you're being a Christian. You're bearing her burden. If your friend's tire's flat and you give him $20, you're bearing his burden, towards that tire. That's being a Christian, right? All right, examples of godly friendship. After David had finished talking with Saul, Jonathan became one in the spirit with David, and he loved him as himself. And Jonathan made a covenant with David because he loved him so much. Now, this is the son of the dad who's trying to kill David, right? And Jonathan made a covenant with David because he loved him even as himself. Jonathan took off his robe he was wearing and gave it to David, along with his tunic and even his sword, his bow, and his belt. That's some friendship. He's like, here, have everything. He could be like, I'm going to kill you because if I kill you, I'm next in line to be king. But he loved this guy. He loved his friend. Now that's awesome. All right, I'm almost done here. I have no one else like Timothy who will show genuine concern for your welfare. For everyone looks out for their own selfish interest, not those of Jesus Christ. But you know that Timothy has proved himself because as a son with his father, he was with me in the work of the gospel. All right. But I think it necessary to send you back Epaphroditus, my brother, co-worker, and fellow soldier, who is also your messenger, whom you sent to take care of my needs. For he longs for all of you, and he's distressed because you heard he was sick. Indeed, he was ill, and he almost died. But God had mercy on him, and not on him only, but on me, to spare me sorrow upon sorrow. That's Philippians 2:25-27. Now, 3 John 1, 1-2, and 13 and 14. To my dear friend Gaius, whom I love in truth. Dear friend, I pray that you may enjoy good health, and that all may go well with you, even as your soul is getting along well. I have much to write you, but I don't want to do it with a pen and ink. I hope to see you face to face. There it is. I do these YouTube videos, but it's great when I see my best friends face to face. You know. All right. It was just before Passover festival, and Jesus knew that the hour had come for him to leave this world and to go to the Father. Having loved his own who were with him in the world, he loved them right to the end. So he got up from the meal, took off his outer clothing, and wrapped a towel around his waist. After that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash his disciples' feet, saying with them, and drying them with a towel wrapped around him. So that's our example. What kind of a friend do we got to be? A good friend. And the better friend you are, the better friend you'll have. So in recap, how pleasant is it when we dwell together in unity? How pleasant is it when we have friends? And don't get down. I hope you get some good friends out there who can cheer you up. And I hope everybody that sees this message knows that I'm friendly towards you and you can be friendly towards me. Please pray for me. I'll try to say a prayer for all of you. God bless everybody who hears this message. And I pray for friends, for true friends, for all of us. And that it wouldn't fall on deaf ears, that we could hear it and have some good friends. And here's the kicker, too. Sometimes everybody in the world will abandon you, but God won't. And you know you got possibly your mother, your brother, your sister, your father. Look around and thank God for the friends you got today. All right? So have a great day. And I hope you enjoyed this morning coffee talk.